Good morning, everybody out there. Hopefully you're having a better morning than the 49ers right now. And, I don't know if I'm more distraught off of the offensive performance or the fact that somebody was clipping their fingernails in the studio. This is disgusting. Come on, man. This is our sanctuary. This is our cathedral. Who the hell was here this weekend clipping their fingernails in the studio? Dude. Disgusting. Even more disgusting than the Niners' offensive performance yesterday, where they scored 14 points against the Falcons. And Baldy warned us. Last week. The Falcons play hard on defense. They got a lot of no-name dudes who fly around the football. And you know what? They wanted that game yesterday. They play hard under Arthur Smith. So let's bring in Brian Baldinger, usually every Tuesday at 7:30. But today, 8 o'clock, because we have ring night and the Golden State Warriors opening up their season tomorrow. Baldy, good morning. We'll get to your great weekend at Arrowhead Stadium, seeing that performance from Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. That looked like an AFC championship game. That was phenomenal. But what happened in the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta was not phenomenal from the 49ers on the offensive side of the football. So let's start there. Your overall thoughts after watching that game over from the offensive performance, well, how would you summarize it?
Well, the first thing is, Bonte, good morning to you and Joe, is the Falcons won that game. I mean, they physically won the game. So you could go into coaching and breakdowns and all that stuff. The Falcons won the game. Mm-hmm. They outplayed the 49ers. That opening drive was a statement. I mean, they pounded Caleb Huntley and Tyler Algier and the 49ers act like they've never seen a read option from a quarterback in their life. We'll get to that. But, I've been watching the Falcons the last 3 or 4 weeks, and not because Brady gets a good call at the end of the game. They've been playing like that now 3 weeks, 4 weeks in a row. Young talent, Taquan Graham, Grady Jarrett, Jalen Hawkins, guys nobody knows about. They came to play. And, there's a lot of things you could point to. I mean, they got whipped at the line of scrimmage, all right? They turned the ball over too many times. Like, those things get you beat in this business. And then, I guess, more than the offense and the performance they had, the defense looked like they weren't ready to play. I mean, that's just me. To see the Falcons go down the field on them on the opening drive, they didn't look like the same defense that was ranked number one in every category. They had the fight taken to them, and I hadn't seen that in 6 weeks. And so that, to me, when I watched the film last night and this morning again, that's what kind of caught me off guard. I didn't see, and I know Nick was out and Eric was out, and that's nonsense. They had the fight taken to them from the beginning.
Wow. It's interesting that you referenced the read option, because there was a couple of plays where it felt like I'm watching this and I'm going, isn't this what we were hoping Trey Lance would look like this year? Like, give, and then on a crucial play, let me keep it, get to the outside, get a touchdown, get a nice little run for a first down.
No doubt, Joe.
And then here comes a nice little blitz, and they're all in man, and then I'm going to run for a 13-yard gain and get a first down. Like, I was watching Mariota. I believe he only had 10 completions through 3 full quarters, and I'm saying, this was supposed to be the blueprint for how Trey Lance was going to be utilized this year.
Well, he completed his first 13 passes, Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't all just, screens and layups. I mean, some of them were, pretty good throws.
Yeah. The back shoulder throw to Drake London.
The Drake, he's just, it's nice having 6'5" receivers out there on the edge. They make a difference. But Joe, I said the exact same thing when I was watching it. Like, this is kind of what the 49ers were projecting when they drafted Trey, to be able to not just, run. I mean, but, pick your spots.
Yes.
You see the defense kind of selling out to stop the dive and all the stuff that they were doing inside, and then pull it, and then just to get yourself on that, moving sidewalk for 20 yards. And then on third down and whatever it was, 13, the first time I've seen the 49ers blitz 6 all year long.
Wow.
And a pressure package and split it up the middle. And you're hoping like that's what Trey is going to want to see. That's kind of what the offense was supposed to look like.
Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Rush on 95.7 The Game on a Monday morning, breaking down Niners and Falcons. Niners lose 28-14 to fall to 3-3, but they're still in first place in the NFC West via tiebreaker. Baldy, you were at Arrowhead Stadium yesterday, and you saw the Buffalo Bills before halftime go 97, 98 yards in 70-plus seconds. Then the Chiefs get the ball with 16 seconds and were able to get a field goal out of it. We're watching the 49ers in the fourth quarter, Baldy, with 10 minutes and change left.
The sense of urgency.
They made it to midfield and burned 6 minutes off the clock. It was like they were up 14 points. The sense of urgency, the lack of what did you see on that possession? Because it infuriated me watching them just go through the motions.
Well, they had their shot plays, Vontae. I mean, Ray McLeod dropped one. Charlie Warner dropped one. There was an underthrow to Ayuk down the middle of the field that could have easily been a touchdown.
Yep.
The last throw to Debo was just, it was late over the middle. Like, you just got to hit them early. They had some shots that they just missed. Some was the quarterback fault. Some was, drops on the receivers. So they had some shots. But, yes, they don't attack the way some of these other teams do. I mean, what Josh Allen did in the final minute of the first half and then what he did throughout the second half, you have to have that ability in this business, especially if you want to spot the other team 14 points.
Yeah.
Now, the 49ers clawed back to tie. But if you want to, go on the road and beat these teams that nobody wants to talk about, and you can say trap game and a bunch of baloney out there, you better be able to attack all areas of the field. It's nice to be able to run it when you want to run it. The Bills did that in the first half. They didn't score a lot of points. Second half, Josh Allen opened up the game. And look, it wasn't like Kansas City wasn't playing good defense, but there's two rookie corners out there for the 49ers. And they exposed those guys being rookies.
Yeah.
They attacked them, and you have to do that. You got to find the pigeons out there, and you got to go after them.
Yeah, you referenced some of the drops, and I'm watching that same game, the Bills versus the Chiefs, and Allen, before halftime, in his own end zone, fires a first down throw. Guy just drops it. But then they make up for it. Let me attack. And I'm watching the 49ers run that 2-minute drill. They get the ball back with 58 seconds to go in the first half. And they run a quarterback sneak in the middle of the field with one timeout on 3rd and 1. Baldy, I almost threw my controller at the television. There's no sense of urgency when a guy gets a completion. No one's hustling up, throwing the ball to the referee. They're running quarterback sneaks in the middle of the field. Is that coach? Is that quarterback? Is that how? Where should I put my frustration? Because I'm really frustrated watching that.
Well, you know what's interesting, Joe? It's no longer a 2-minute drill at the end of the half or at the end of the game. It's less than a minute. These teams are attacking. The Chiefs attacked with 17 seconds to go in the half. They attacked on Monday night against the Raiders with 12 seconds to go. There's no amount of time that they don't attack. Now, look, at the end of the first half there, they throw the interception. They take the shot down the field. It's a really good play by Terrell to tip the ball up. Oliver gets it. They took a shot there with 9 seconds to go. Maybe they waited too long. But I'm telling you, right now, when you watch these teams, okay, you want to give us 17 seconds at 25? The Chiefs showed you last year 13 seconds in a playoff game, we'll kick a field goal. I think that there is no more taking a knee and let's go in and regroup at halftime.
Right.
I think you got to take every possession right now and look to attack and stick it in somebody's jugular. Every possession.
So is there an excuse? I just want to make sure we're here because, to me, I don't care who your quarterback is. I don't care what the situation is. I go back to Jacksonville taking a knee against New England. We knew they were going to lose that game. We knew it was going to happen. Is this on the coach, the quarterback? Who should I be frustrated with? Huh?
I think it's a philosophy, Joe. And it's got to start. So if it's a philosophy, it starts with the coach. The coach sets the vision. It's his philosophy.
Gotcha.
I think it's got to start with the coach. And if you don't trust your quarterback, to be that aggressive, and not everybody obviously has Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. We're watching the two best in the league. All right. But it is kind of an indictment that we don't have that ability. And then just watching the 49ers, and I know Danny Gray can run, but they don't really have tremendous team speed on the outside. They just don't. Jennings isn't that guy.
No.
Ayuk has good moves. I don't know that he's a burner. Debo isn't that guy. He's great with the ball in his hands, just making people miss and, running through people. But they don't really have that vertical stretch that a lot of these other teams, Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs and Marcus Valdez-Scantling, they don't have some of those guys that can just take the top off the defense.
We're talking to Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game. We do it weekly. He's the best in the business when it comes to breaking down these football games and really breaking it down for our audience. Baldy, you mentioned the 2-minute drill no longer being a 2-minute drill. Tennessee, Alabama misses a field goal. Tennessee's you know what? We go steal this game. 2 plays, 25, 30 yards, boom. We go out of there. We're celebrating in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we're smoking cigars all night long. You talked about the lack of killer instinct, because that's the thing. That's a term I used this morning. There's a lack of killer instinct from this offense, and I believe it's from Shanahan. We've been talking about, when's the last time the Niners won a game with this offense? 3 years ago against New Orleans. That's too long. So I'm going to ask you, Baldy, and maybe you don't answer it, but is Shanahan? Did we overrate Shanahan? Did we overrate him as an offensive coach? Because when I look at last year and the way they made that run to the NFC Championship game, I point to the defense saying, "Damn, that was some lockdown defense." Man, Deebo Samuel really carried the offense. I don't look at the offense saying, "Boy, they were explosive. They really fooled teams." They are hanging on by dear life in these games, and the offensive evolution of Kyle Shanahan's, I just don't see it.
Looked a little stale yesterday. I'll be honest.
You said that twice this year so far, Baldy. A couple weeks ago, you said the offense looked beige.
It looks a little predictable. Some of it is just the talent in what they have and how they utilize it. I think right now in this game, it's about just like right now the 49ers problem is they just can't get explosive plays. They're just not there. Now like I said, they dropped some yesterday. They were there. You know, you got to make the play. But man, this is what Atlanta did to open the game, and they go the distance of the field, and they're just kind of plugging away at you. Like that's nice to see, but you don't win big games like that. You've got to take your shots, and they've got to create ways to get more.
Well, Baldy, because out here in the Bay Area, we keep saying, and a lot of talk is, Shanahan doesn't have his guy at quarterback. He doesn't have his guy. We've been saying that for 4 years, and it's year 6 of the Shanahan regime. At some point, it just falls on deaf ears. And now we're going to go into next year not knowing who Trey Lance can be in the NFL. It could be a project. He could go through bumps in the roads. And so the leeway that Shanahan gets out here, I'm not saying fire him. I'm not saying move on. But at some point, he's got to be held accountable out here, because we can't keep blaming Jimmy G. We know who Jimmy Garoppolo is. At some point, the head coach has got to say, you know what, we got to go for it. Look at the second half stats, Baldy. 3 points against Chicago, 7 against Seattle, 3 against Denver. You blow out Carolina, but score 0 yesterday. You got to be, if you're an offensive head coach, you got to have some killer in you, and I don't see it.
Well, look, you fumbled the 6th play of the game. And you put yourself in a 14-0 hole. I don't know, Jeffrey Wilson, he's got the first down.
Right.
To get that ball punched out right there, and then to see the Falcons capitalize on it and put a drive together, on the fumble return for a touchdown. That's a tough way to start a game, down 14-0. Now, they put together a great drive and got back in the game and all that. But, look, the Falcons, they played a lot of, the way that they ran the ball, they played a lot of ball control. You didn't have great opportunities.
Right.
You start the second half and you get 2 straight 3-and-outs.
Yeah.
You got 3rd and 10 and you're throwing a check down over the middle for 5 yards. Like that play, and I'm not killing Kyle Shanahan on that, but when I see that play in the NFL, I go, that's a philosophical problem. Like, you've got to have your vertical threats. You've got to get, like, every once in a while you throw it to Deebo underneath, he's going to get you 10 yards. You can throw it out there to the edge to Ayuk, and you can run a perfect, jailbreak screen, for a touchdown. But, man, 3rd and 5 in this business, you got to be able to convert. That's got to be like 80, 90%. You got to convert that, especially if you're down 21-14, and you got to take control of the game. Like, that's how you take control, by converting those 3rd downs.
What are you seeing from Deebo Samuel in terms of how he was used last year versus how he's being used now?
Well, he's just part of the offense. Like, they're not calling anything for him. They don't have any special plays, switch routes, go routes. Nothing really called. He was wide open in the middle of the field. Jimmy was late to him. The ball got tipped, intercepted. The ball's just got to get there sooner. He's waiting for it. He sees it. He's done exactly what he's supposed to do. You got to choke it down. The zone defense, don't run into the other side of the zone. Choke it down. Get it to him. And so the timing isn't quite right, for some plays that could have been big plays.
Man, that's wild.
They didn't really use him at the tailback spot very much, but they didn't have the ball that much. They didn't run it that much,
Last week, Monday Night Football, Jimmy Garoppolo missed Charlie Warner down the seam for a big play. Again, we see Charlie Warner get another opportunity for a big play, and he just flat out drops it. Raver McLeod flat out drops it. Money plays. And you talk about 3rd down. Atlanta's 9-14 on 3rd down. The Niners are 3-8. It's just, you're right about the personnel issues here. And it feels like
Bonte, if you just go back to that, if you just go back for 1 second, to the Charlie Warner drop. What I don't understand is why isn't Kittle in that spot?
Exactly.
Why isn't Kittle running that seam route? Like, that's what he has. He's got breakaway speed. Like, I just don't get it. That's twice now.
Right.
In big spots, we've seen that, where they're throwing to Charlie Warner on the drag wheel route, and, it's overthrown. It's, Charlie's Charlie. Like, okay, but you're paying Kittle to be an all-star. Like, put him in that spot. Like, I don't get that part.
So when you watch the Niners as a whole offensively, because we're very frustrated offensively, no one's saying that you're Bill Walsh, but your recommendation would be what to Kyle in terms of either personnel or philosophy changes?
Well, look, you're without your 2 starting tackles. McGlinchey goes down. There's no Trent. Like, that makes a difference.
For sure.
You're down to your backups, Jalen and Blake over there at right tackle. You're breaking in some young guys. Brendel is a try-hard guy, but there's a weakness in there at center. And so it got exposed a little bit against Grady Jarrett and Taquan Graham quite a bit yesterday. And there's nothing worse for Jimmy, the way that he plays, than quick pressure right up the middle. There's just nothing worse for him. And so, he that's not his strength. You've got to keep the middle pocket clean for him to step and be able to make these reads. And it's not a strength. So, like, I think that was a problem yesterday against a really undervalued but really good front that the Falcons have.
Yeah, Grady Jarrett yesterday, Chris Jones next week as the Kansas City Chiefs come to town coming off a loss here. So how do the Niners, we don't even know who's going to play on defense, whether Bosa plays, whether Mooney Ward plays. They got so many injuries, Baldy. How do they possibly hang with the Kansas City Chiefs with this offense basically looking bland? And Andy Reid coming off a loss. His record is astronomical coming off a loss.
Yeah, it is. I don't think you might have one loss in 22 years or something. It's crazy. So I've been charting that back from when he was with the Eagles here. It was always like that. In fact, just listening to the post-game press conference yesterday from Mahomes, like, they're already moved on, to this game. Like they know what's at stake. They know that they missed an opportunity yesterday. They had 2 rookie corners out there, playing football. Like, if I'm Kyle and I'm watching, like, they're try-hard guys. They got rookies everywhere in defense. Leo Shanahan, like, they're everywhere. But if I'm Kyle, I'm like, okay, the receiver's got to win. This is your game. We're going to give you chances against 2 rookie corners, and they're not first-round picks. Now, maybe the first-round pick plays next week. But, like, you're talking about 3rd, 4th, 5th-round picks. Like, you got to beat them the way Gabriel Davis got behind Watson yesterday for a touchdown. Like, the way that, Stephon Diggs had one of those Stephon Diggs kind of day. Like, if I'm sitting in the film room and I'm watching this defense of Kansas City, and I know Chris Jones is up there and he can just wreak havoc. He did yesterday. He does every week. He's going to make his plays. But if I'm Debo, if I'm Ayuk, I'm like, this is my week. Like, give it to me. Let me win this game for us.
Baldy, before you get out of here, and just loving all the stuff that you're giving us, just incredible breakdowns. When you look at this defense and you reference some of the injuries and whatnot, were there any silver linings, Charles Omenihu or Drake Jackson, or was there anything that because I thought Fred had a really tough game, Fred Warner did, but is there anything to pluck from this positive defensively?
Yeah, look, Drake is a really good player. Like, he does some things, like, I'll point one out later today. I'll put it on social media, but, like, he's got freakish athletic ability. We know that. But, him and Omenihu are kind of carrying the front right now. Givens made 1 or 2 plays inside. Like, they got after it pretty good. They couldn't take the ball away, and they couldn't really flip the game in their favor. But I thought Fred didn't look like Fred yesterday to me from the very beginning. He got rolled up. It was like just the way Samson did a couple of times in and out of the game. Like, physically, they were rolling those guys out of there on a pretty good regular basis, and they got blocked up pretty good. We hadn't seen them blocked up like that in the first 5 weeks of the season.
Baldy, where are you at this weekend, man? Arrowhead last week. You get all the good games. Where are you at next weekend?
Did you see his Instagram?
Oh, of course I did.
This guy had a who's who of guys on the field. I was jealous.
I wouldn't know about the tailgate. You were supposed to break down the tailgate at Arrowhead.
I just threw it out during the game because, you got to entertain people. But, like, how much brisket was brought to that stadium yesterday between the Bills Mafia and the Chiefs Kingdom? Like, just how much Joe, you're a guy that can cook some brisket.
Thank you.
Like, how many thousands of pounds of brisket got barbecued yesterday out there in that parking lot? Like, honestly, I looked out there and I didn't see a car move until the final interception of Patrick Mahomes. Like, not one car in the parking lot moved the entire day.
Wow. So where you at next weekend, Baldy? What games you got?
I'm out in L.A., man. I'm out in L.A. I'm going to see the Seahawks.
Ooh,
yeah, Seahawks and
nice.
Chargers. Like, it's going to be a classic, man. Seahawks
it's not bad.
playing awesome football.
Before you get out of here, Kansas City, Memphis, or Carolina barbecue?
I'll take Texas barbecue. Just
Okay,
Texas
Texas.
barbecue.
All right.
Texas
Yeah.
barbecue.
Memphis has that rub.
Yeah.
Has that rub thing, Joe.
Right.
Which I'm okay with. But I needed to drip. Like,
Yeah.
my whole thing is, like, we were all poor when we were young, right?
Yeah,
so
of
I used
course.
to eat barbecue chicken on Tuesday
Oh, yeah.
and lick my fingers on Wednesday. When you have a rub, you can't lick your fingers.
I love that.
Mayonnaise sandwiches, too, huh?
Kansas City, a who's who.
Exactly.
Mayonnaise
Yeah.
sandwiches. Von Miller wearing the Derek Thomas shirt at Arrowhead Stadium.
Yeah,
that
that was
iconic.
cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
You know
That
what's
was
interesting, though? You know what's interesting about Buffalo, though? And I don't,
Yeah.
like, I know the 49ers have a vibe, too, but I was around that team in preseason during the pregame yesterday.
Yeah.
That's the loosest team. That's a great team that I've ever been around.
Wow.
And when you are just around that team at training camp, practice, game, like, they have so much fun as a team. It's just unbelievable. And it carries to the game. It's interesting to be around it.
You know, when I watch them, stylistically, they remind me of the Golden State Warriors, them and Kansas City. Next man up. We can score from anywhere on the field. We can win in a variety of ways. It doesn't matter that we just missed that pass. We'll make the next one. Like, to your point, the drops for the Niners, like, oh, it's life and death.
Right.
When they drop a pass, it's like, we'll get the next one.
Yeah, McKenzie dropped that pass on the drive right before halftime. They say, okay, we'll regroup, convert third down, and still go down the field in 70 seconds. It's like the K-Gun 2.0.
It's 4 down. It's the 4 down offense.
Yeah.
Like, any fourth down from anywhere on the field, Buffalo could go for it. They just believe in themselves like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Baldy, we always love you. Can't wait to talk to you next
We needed
Tuesday.
your smile this morning.
Yeah, we need you, but we're still
All right,
feeling
guys.
bad about this offense. Can't wait for your breakdowns later on. Baldy, take care,
See
man.
you next week.